Hey guys, welcome back to another weekly forecast. We're going to hear all the tea. We're going to get into it, see what energies are coming for you next week. I am using the Multidimensional Devas Oracle today. I sometimes forget that I have this Oracle deck because, well, it's beautiful, but it's also not the easiest to use because the images, like the cards, are just an image and a number. And I personally, I don't think I have enough space in my brain to memorize my tarot decks and my oracle decks. So I tend to prefer oracle decks that are have a little bit more like information on the card, so I can just look at it and look at the image and like figure things out. But let me know in the comments if you like what style of oracle deck you prefer if you are a reader, or as well, like I do try to memorize my tarot decks. Like if you do tarot as well, let me know in the comments if you prefer to read intuitively or if you're like me and you're all up in the guidebook trying to like memorize, meanings and such. Anyways, so because of that, I sometimes forget I have this oracle deck, so you might not see it as much on the channel. For today's weekly forecast, we are not doing a Celtic cross, sorry. We are doing kind of like the equivalent of a Celtic cross that comes in this Dreams of Gaia spread. I've done it in a few videos on the channel. It's that circular spread, and it gives you all the same information. It's just kind of in a different format. Actually, it might even give you a little bit more information. So I'm excited. We'll see what we get. Let me see how lined up these cards are. I try to keep things straight. I'm checking as I go, trying to keep things aligned, but then I realize, I tend to make things worse when I try to line everything up. How are you guys doing this week? I'm filming this first thing in the morning, but you would never know because it's super dark outside. I feel like it's actually getting cold. Like, I don't know, where I am, the weather has been kind of warm, but now it feels actually cold. And so I'm kind of excited to get into the colder weather. Just like, I don't like to sweat. So I'm excited for it, but I know that like as it gets darker, things are just gonna get a little bit more depressing. Let me grab my guidebook here, because again, I think I have a general idea of what these are, but I'm not entirely sure. With our rose quartz, we have number 26 with this spiral image there. And this card is actually just nature. So if you have themes of nature in your life recently, or maybe you're looking to reconnect with nature, perhaps you're just thinking about nature in general. What's the nature of the world? What's human nature? Things like that. Anything about nature that might be calling to you. Or the rose quartz, feel free to Google like spiritual meaning of these crystals and use that to help you as well. Anything like that, this first reading might be for you. Next we have pyrite, and we have number 24 with that. Number 24 is perception. So if you've been thinking about perception, maybe you're trying to open up your mind more, or maybe you feel like things have been happening that might be kind of closing your mind, like things that you don't like that might be kind of closing things off for you. Maybe you want a second opinion on something. Maybe you've been questioning your perception of a situation. And we have the pyrite, so this might be for you. Next we have jasper, and with that we have number 22. All of these numbers are pretty close together. I wonder if that means anything. Maybe it means that the energies of these three might be kind of similar. So make sure you are really paying attention when you're selecting your reading. Jasper, and this card is actually about manifestation. So if you've been trying to manifest something, or you maybe something is manifesting into your life right now, maybe you've been thinking just in general about how your own energy, your own thoughts is actually impacting your life and the world around you, this might be your reading. And lastly, we have chrysoprase, and I've actually never seen this card before, so that is super exciting. I love it when I see a card that I don't usually see, because that might be an energy that I'm not as familiar with. So with the chrysoprase, we have number 35, and that is shame and remorse. Okay, so this might be a little bit more of like a shadow type reading. So perhaps you've been feeling maybe some remorse or some shame, or you've just been dealing with some shadow work, acknowledging the shadow side of yourself. Or, if you've been maybe dealing with some like shame and remorse directed at the self. So if you've been like dealing with some like self issues, or like maybe you feel like you've been very vulnerable lately, and maybe you're just like tackling some darker themes in your life. We all go through that at some point. This might be the reading for you with the Chryso praise. Okay, and again, feel free to Google spiritual meaning of XYZ crystal, because that might help you decide which reading is for you. Once you have figured it out, feel free to pause, look very closely at these images. Let me give you a closer look, actually, because these are pretty detailed, and so the image might actually really help you with deciding where to go. In the meantime, let me know what's going on in your life in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. I haven't really seen any comments lately on any of the videos, and it's making me a little sad. Just because I want to know that people are like, what's going on in people's lives. Anyways, that's besides the point. Once you've found a reading that might be calling out to you, feel free to jump to that, and I will see you there. Hey guys, welcome to reading number 1. I've got my oracle cards over here. Maybe if we feel the need to ask a clarifying question or things like that, we can use the oracle for some more information. Otherwise, we're going to get into it. Remember to keep in mind the scope of things. Things can sometimes come off as pretty intense in the cards, and that's just the nature of the cards. So don't be freaked out. Keep in mind the scope. This is just a week. And also, if we see something a little bit ooky spooky, it's okay. We are going to work it out together, okay? Oop. So the first card is your energy. Okay, good energy to be in for next week. You are feeling like the King of Earth. The King of Earth is definitely the person where everything that they touch kind of turns to gold, especially in this deck. So you're feeling very like confident, in charge of your own life, very successful, and like you're stepping into an energy of like, okay, I'm ready to acknowledge all the things that I've achieved, and I'm going to like be proud of myself, but I'm also gonna pay it forward. You're pretty like feeling like devoted to whatever your cause is next week. Well, let's take a look at let's go to unconscious mind. So this might not be something that's manifesting out in the physical world. This is something that's more so happening kind of in the back of your mind, but it's something that you should be more aware of. Otherwise, why would it come up in this reading? So keep that in mind. You know, I think I have somehow not used this deck in a while on the channel. And so I'm trying to remember if this deck is like, interesting. Okay, I think I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. So we'll start up here. This is the unconscious mind, and you have the Queen of Earth, which I think like, it's interesting. These are very complementary energies. So it's interesting that this is your overall energy, whereas this is more so in the back of your mind. The Queen of Earth is like a nurturer, takes care of the home and people around her and the things that she loves. And so maybe in the back of your mind, you're kind of thinking about, all right, how can I take care of the things that I love? How can I make them grow? How can I make things around me better? And also like maybe now that you've achieved like what you've wanted to achieve, you're feeling like on top of things. Maybe you're ready, like in the back of your mind, you're starting to think about, okay, what can you create with this? How can we, use that creation to make things better and make the world around me better? So if you've had some kind of a creative project floating around in the back of your mind, it might be time to bring it to the forefront. Alternatively, if you're just thinking about like kind of in the back of your mind, okay, how can I make my home better? How can I make the people around me feel nurtured and supported? You might want to bring that energy out into the forefront because that's a very pleasant energy. In your conscious mind down here, so this is something that you're actively thinking about. It might not be like manifesting in the physical world because it's more so something that's happening in your mind. But the 7 of Fire is very interesting because that's all about intuition. So you might be actively kind of thinking about, okay, what are some signs that I can look for? What are the patterns happening in my life? Maybe you're trying to look a little bit within. You're maybe thinking about, okay, your like thoughts are focused on yourself, your past experiences, understanding your own intuition, trying to connect with your intuition, because you might be seeking answers about something. And we'll see if like the situation kind of like makes itself known in the other cards that we have. But you're going to be very focused on like, okay, what's my gut saying? What's my intuition saying? I need to look and listen to signs that are given to me. Okay, so let's take a look at your past next. So this is something that, it could be distant past, it could be near past, could be a person, could be a specific situation, could just be like a pattern or a theme. We'll see what we get, but it's impacting whatever is happening for you next week. Hopefully there's not any glare on these cards. That's the difficult thing with using like this finish of a deck in a video, because it can sometimes reflect the light and it can make it a little bit harder to see. Okay, in the past, you might have made some kind of a decision, a significant decision that might have like kind of altered your path in life. You can see that it's very much illustrated on that card there, where there's two paths to take. Which one are you going to take? This decision probably, you might not have even known it at the time, but definitely now you can acknowledge that like that decision has played a significant impact. And like you want to understand, like I think for your past, maybe with this energy, having an awareness of like, okay, how has my past shaped me? What decisions have I made that have led me to where I am? So I don't think that this card is necessarily like has like an energy attached to it, like a positive or a negative thing. I think this is just the way that it is, right? Take a look at the choices that you've made, especially if it's led you to success, because clearly with this King of Earth energy, it's led you to something good. So take a look at that. Okay, I'm going to pick, so these cards are more like future oriented. So I'm going to jump over here to maybe like, this could be, this is a blockage or something that, you know, you might want to take a closer look at, because it might be holding you back in some way. In a traditional Celtic cross, this would be like the challenge card. That was 2, so let's see if we can get another one here. Let me know in the comments if this is resonating so far, or if you want to share about the things that you're thinking about while I'm doing this reading. I would love to hear about it. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to take this one. Okay. 3 of Earth in a blockage position. So the 3 of Earth is all about planting seeds, which you can definitely see in the image, making certain plans for the future. I could see how this could be very tied to like the journey card, especially because the journey card is about making choices that are impacting your future. But when I see that when it's in a blockage position, right, I'm going to interpret this card more so as a reversal. And the 3 of Earth is asking you, what's your motivation? Why are you planting the seeds that you're planting? You know, why are you trying to manifest the thing that you want to manifest, right? So take a look at your motivation, because your motivation might impact the way that things play out. You want to be motivated by like love and good things rather than like wanting to be more powerful than other people, right? That might not lead you down the best path. It's important to understand that like you're going to reap what you sow. So if you know, are looking for something like instant gratification, you might be disappointed. So take some time, really think about why you're doing what you're doing, and that's going to be important. Let's take a look at a guiding energy. So that actually might help with this beyond just like examining your motives. Like this might give you another, like an energy to work with that might help you with this here. So you have the choice card, which is a very interesting card because this is like card 0 in the deck. So very similar energy to this journey card. These things are very linked as well. So I think especially when you're dealing with this 3 of Earth kind of in that blockage position, I think you want to especially understand that the choices that you're making are actually creating your reality and are having an impact on your life, especially if you are an intuitive person and you're looking for your gut feelings and you're looking for signs and things like that. You know, the choices that you make are going to create your reality, especially if you feel like you're more connected to like a higher energy. Make sure especially that you understand that inaction is also a choice. So if you're not doing anything, you know, that's a choice as well. So stay mindful, understand that you have free will, and understand that opportunities might be coming to you, but it's important to understand, you know, why you're doing what you're doing and understanding the like impact that your choices are going to make. Let's take a look at an expressive energy. This is kind of like an extra thing that might, you know, you might unlock a whole new path next week if you heed this expression energy, in the sense that like things like acknowledging this expressive energy might kind of change the way that things play out. Let's see, we got a card that flipped. Okay, very interesting. So Ace of Earth is all about changing your mindset and incorporating a new mindset, taking on a new mindset. Even if it's just like, it could just be something about like the way that you think about things, the language that you use with yourself, but it could also be about like more intense things like ideologies. So I think for you with this expressive energy, taking on a new perspective, thinking about things a little bit differently, changing the way that you think is going to really like change the direction of things for you next week. So try to take a new perspective on things, especially as the week plays out. Let's take a look at the near future. So this would definitely be the energy of like earlier in the week. And then the next card is a longer term future. So that would just be the energy of later in the week. So let's start with early in the week. Okay, so for you, the energy of earlier in the week is the 8 of Air, but it's reversed. So the 8 of Air reversed is asking you, like, okay, so you might be kind of questioning your memories earlier in the week, and I could see why that might be the case, especially if you've got this, like, how did I end up here? The importance of my choices and, like, looking inward and maybe taking on a new mindset. What's motivating me? Like, there's a lot of looking inward, it seems, next week. So you might start to, like, question your memory of past like conversations or situation. And I think that that's a good thing because we don't always remember things accurately. If you do keep a journal or keep like something that you write in, you might even want to go take a look at that, and that might help you with this. But it's also like, don't give too much power to your memories, and don't let your memories influence your present too much, because sometimes if we think about things too much, we can like really alter the way that we remember them or think about them, and sometimes not in a good way, not in a useful way. And perhaps that's why you should be taking on this like new perspective, new mindset on things. So things change with the passage of time, including your memories, right? And sometimes it's better to remember that memories can be altered, and don't let a situation from the past influence your present. So let's take a look at the energy of later in the week. Well, that fell on the floor. BRB. Let me pick it up. Okay. Later in the week, we have the 5 of Earth. A very mischievous energy going on here for you. The 5 of Earth is like, it's like wanting to like that instant gratification with this blockage, right? You want this instant gratification later in the week. You might want to take the easy way, and you might be taking kind of like a risk because you might be tempted to do things the easy way, or like listen to that little devil on your shoulder telling you to like maybe like take advantage of somebody or like take advantage of a situation and try to like do the easy thing, not necessarily the right thing. So later in the week, I am suggesting that you do not step into this energy, because this is not the best energy to be in, because other people might get hurt and you might even hurt yourself. And there's an element of deception here. So things might not really be what they seem. And that's kind of echoed over here, because it's like, oh, your memories about something might be wrong. And then on top of that, you want to think about what's motivating you and maybe take on a new mindset. So be wary of this energy. I don't suggest stepping into this energy. You know what? Let's pull another oracle card here and see what we can do about this energy. Be wary of a situation where someone might bring out the worst in you, or a situation might bring out the worst in you. And it's okay, we're human, things happen, we make mistakes, but if you can avoid it, I would recommend avoiding it. Let's take a look. Hopefully something pops out that might help you with this. Interesting. Card number 7. Again, I don't have this deck memorized, so let's see what this is all about. Give it an interpretation. Card number 7 is the 7th dimension, which is interesting. So this might be more of a space, a presence that you should step into, like a headspace. So the 7th dimension, so you can see that the card has these very bright colors, lots of bubbles, right? Beautiful but brief. Some things are transient and you cannot hold on to them. So you might want, things might seem beautiful, and this might be why you're kind of tempted to step into this energy. But understand that things are brief. We can't always hold on to things. But if you can appreciate the beauty for what it is while it lasts and then let it go, things will be better. Okay? Try to see the truth about this situation, because it might look very beautiful on the outside, but try to look a little bit deeper, especially if you're in this energy of wanting to look deeper at things, that might help with this. Okay, I hope that this reading resonated for you, or maybe it feels like it might fit with your energy. Thank you for spending some time with me. Remember to take what resonates here and leave the rest. I don't know if I said that at the beginning, but this is a collective reading. There's multiple people watching, so it's important just to take the little nuggets of information that seem to apply to your life, and you can just literally ignore the rest of it. So I just yap and yap and yap about a card, and you just have to take the stuff that fits for you. Okay. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Remember, I do these every week, so I hope you join me again next week. And then sometimes in the middle of the week, depending on what my schedule looks like, I have a fun little extra video. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope I will see you again. You know what is so funny, guys? I have realized that I have just had my candle sitting here closed this whole time. Let me light it for you guys. The introduction and the first reading does not have a candle lit. Oh my goodness. I can't. Let me. Okay. After I light this, we're going to get into it. I'm a little far away from the microphone, so hopefully this doesn't sound too crazy. Let me move back. Okay, so let's get into it. We've got the energy for next week now that the candle is lit. We are using the Dreams of Gaia spread. Remember to keep a perspective on things. This is just a week, right? So things might seem kind of intense in the cards, but they might not manifest as intensely. You have to remember the scope. Also keep in mind that this is, what's the word? A collective reading. So, I might yap and yap and yap and yap about a card, and you just kind of have to take the stuff that sounds right for you and applies to your situation, because I want to make sure I get as much information out there as I can so everybody hears what they need to hear. So your energy for next week is the seneschal. I never know how to say that word. The seneschal is like feeling very loyal to a higher purpose, maybe loyal to somebody else. So next week you might be kind of like focused on this other person or this higher purpose of yours, and like putting in the work to help that serve the person, serve that higher purpose. So it's important like to keep in mind that like maybe you're going to want to be a little bit organized next week. Maybe you're going to want to like serve as a mediator or like do some administrative work next week, things like that. That'll be the energy that you're in. This is definitely like a work energy. So work might be the biggest thing in your life next week. Let's take a look at your unconscious mind. That's the card that's on the top for this. And when I'm talking about the mind, right, these might be things that are not manifesting in the physical world, but you know, they're happening in your mind and you're thinking about them. So let's see what we got. In your unconscious mind, you have the motion and intellect card reversed. So this is definitely not something that you're really acknowledging and working on, but there is an imbalance there between your emotions and your thoughts. So you might be letting your emotions lead you a little too much. You might be kind of emotional. On the other hand, you might be letting your intellect lead and not feeling your emotions properly, but it's not something that you're acknowledging, and it would pop up in like a reading like this because it is something that you need to acknowledge and bring out of the unconscious. Let's take a look at your conscious mind. Thought I just heard somebody at the door. It really scared me. That's why I had that weird pause. Okay, let's take a look at the conscious mind. So this is something that you will probably be thinking about next week. You might be focused on. Again, it might not really manifest into the physical, but it will be on your mind. Whoop, that fell on the floor. Let me go pick that up. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely an energy of work. Like you are thinking about work. The six of Earth, is all about work, especially work for like in the service of others. So think like working for like responsibility to family. It doesn't have to be your job, but it can just be like responsibility to your family. It could be like work that might help your community, or just like really you're thinking like, okay, I have to be responsible. I have to be dependable. I have to make sure I'm meeting all my responsibilities and like helping the people around me as well. So this is definitely like, it can become a little bit of a burden. You can see he's carrying this heavy thing on his back, but you know, the work is getting done. So, and like you might be like, especially I think the work is getting done because you have this seneschal energy here. Let's take a look at the past. Could be like a person, a situation, a theme, like something that's impacting where you are today or next week, I guess. Let's see what we get. And I've got my little oracle cards in the corner there, just in case we have something that we might want to ask some clarity on. Okay, that almost popped out. It did not. Okay, I'm going to take this one because this one separated itself here. Okay, so in the past, you have the Eight of Air. The Eight of Air, definitely, like, this is not a card that I see often, so I'm interested that it's popped up here for you. The Eight of Air is all about, like, sometimes, like, it's understanding cause and effect. Most importantly, you can see that like with these two knives here, right? Like if you have the sharp end of the knife pointed at you, like it's gonna hurt and it might cause some harm. But it's understanding that like you're driven by your ego. I feel like I'm not getting my words out here. But the Eight of Air is understanding that like we are sometimes driven by our egos, and the things that we think can affect our experience, right? And sometimes because of things that we've experienced in the past, we might carry those with us within our thoughts into the future. And sometimes that might create behavior that causes harm. Conflict can also arise because we might not have an accurate perception of reality, or, you know, we might kind of be in denial. So there might be like something in your past, something like, I guess it would be a situation in your past, like a memory that you hold, maybe a memory that you sometimes revisit that is impacting the way that you're behaving right now, maybe even to the point where you're causing some harm, maybe even to yourself. Perhaps this emotion and this intellect imbalance is actually like not serving you, right? Or perhaps you're a little too devoted to your work and your responsibility to other people, to the point where maybe you're neglecting yourself, right? So there might be a moment from your past that has like kind of triggered this, like, I'm just going to focus on work and not really focus on my emotions, or I'm going to like focus on work so I don't really have to deal with that imbalance. But also understand that like memory is imperfect. So you might remember things a little bit differently than they really are, but also like feeling justified in the things that you're doing doesn't necessarily mitigate any of the harm. I don't know if that makes sense, but there might be a moment in the past that caused some pain for you, and that might be something that is like driving you in the present, and you maybe revisit that memory a little too much. Okay. Let's take a look at a blockage. Okay, we have integrity, and it came out reversed, so that's fine, because I interpret these cards in the blockage position as reversals anyway. So whenever I see integrity reversed, it's a kind of simple. It's like, are you being authentic? Are you really following your authentic truth and, you know, living your truth, I guess, is all that it is, right? So you don't want to like be, you don't want to be like too buried in this illusion that you have about yourself and your life, right? So, you know, you don't want to, I guess, this is hard. This is hard because when this isn't a blockage, I think maybe let's just leave it at that, because I don't want to like talk too much and like lose track of the true meaning. The like feeling like you're inauthentic and not living your truth is really the drive home message here. So I don't want to like get into it too much. Okay, let's take a look at a guiding energy that might help you deal with this blockage. Okay. All right. If you have ever done, okay, so the balance between the body and mind, where what I was going to ask is if you have ever tried to do like somatic work. So what might help you is actually my friend also talks about this, and I really appreciate whenever she talks to me about this because I find it so insightful. Listening to your body whenever you're experiencing something, bringing the focus onto your body, and it's like, okay, how is this experience making me feel physically? Because that actually might help you get in touch with your emotions a little bit more, because we feel things in our body physically, we feel our emotions physically, and like sometimes when we're not in touch with our emotions, all we're kind of left is that physical sensation. And so getting in touch with that physical sensation can actually lead you back to your emotional side. So understand that like when something happens, take a moment, stop, think about how am I feeling this physically, and that might actually help you. And then understanding, you know, how things are making you feel might actually also help you lead to being authentic and living like an authentic life where you're in touch with your truth, because you'll know what your truth is because you're more in touch with your emotions and things like that. Okay, a little winded there. Let's take a look at an expression. So similarly, these cards are very similar. I mean, they're also like right next to each other, but an expressive energy is an energy that like, if you figure this out, you might unlock a whole new path, and like things like you might go down a whole new direction. So you might change the course of things for next week if you figure this out. The Seven of Air is all about, it's not like what you believe, but it's like how you believe it. How do your like personal ideologies or the way that you think about the world, your spirituality, your religion, things like that, how does that actually impact the choices that you make and the way that you act, right? So is what you're believing, is it actually helping you and helping other people, or is it actually doing harm? Are you like I think the true message here is just like examine the things that you believe and examine how they're impacting your life, because you want to also learn a little bit more, and maybe you'll have a change in perspective. Let's take a look at the near future. So this is the energy of earlier in the week for sure. And you have the journey card. So you might be presented with kind of a choice earlier in the week. And it's important to understand that the choice that you make here is actually going to have an impact on your path in life and you know, what happens. So I suspect that, well, I don't think it's a suspicion. I think you should really make sure that you are following your truth and you're in touch with all sides of yourself, because that might help you make this decision here, because you do want to go down the path that feels more authentic. You don't want to like dig yourself into a deeper hole in terms of things that are not, that don't feel like you. Let's take a look at the energy of later in the week. Okay. Later in the week, we've got some good news. 10 of Fire, you're going to feel like the master of your own universe. If you are like super into work in your career and things like that now, you're going to feel very successful at it. Something good might manifest in your, like you might finish a project or like achieve a goal. That's what I mean by that. So something like that might happen at work, but also it could just be if you go down the right path and you make the choice that feels best for you, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm the master of my own universe. I feel really good about this. I feel in control of my life. And you're going to feel aligned. You can see that all the chakras here are aligned. You're going to feel aligned with your highest self for sure. So things are looking up for later in the week. This reading was a lot. I hope that this resonated. I kind of feel like, you know, I don't want to dig any deeper, really. I think we should just leave this as it is. I don't think we need an extra oracle card. I hope that this resonated. I already said that, but I wish you the best for next week. I wish you the best with this. Feel free to join me again for another weekly forecast. I do these every week, and sometimes in the middle of the week, I have a little fun extra tarot reading that you can try out. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope I see you again in a future video. Hey guys, welcome to reading number 3. The sun came out for you guys. How beautiful is that? I also noticed that I did not have this candle lit. So I think the introduction in the first reading, they didn't have this candle, but I hope you guys do, and I hope you love it. Let's take a look at the energy. We have the Jasper. I don't know if I said this. We have Jasper and manifestation. Let's see what we get. So the first card is your energy for next week, kind of like your overall energy, and you have emotion and intellect. So might be kind of a balancing act next week between following your emotions and following your like thoughts and your logic. Things might be transpiring next week, and we'll see as we get the other cards what those things might be that might be making you feel emotional or making you try to like push away your emotions and try to make you follow your logic a little bit more. So let's see what we get. Let's take a look at your unconscious mind. This is something that might not be like manifesting in reality, but it's something that you're thinking about. And whenever I see things in the unconscious mind, I do tend to think that like this might be something that you might want to be more aware of, because it is impacting your thoughts, and your thoughts are all about how you perceive the world. So for you with the 3 of Fire, I think in the back of your mind, you might be thinking about movement and travel, moving on from something, but it might not be something that you're fully aware of. You might also be thinking about, okay, in the back of your mind, you might be feeling like you need to sacrifice something in order to move forward, but you're willing to put in the hard work. You're willing to put in the energy. This is definitely an energy card because there's like movement involved. And so I think you might be ready to step outside of your comfort zone and step into something a little bit more unknown. Let's take a look at your conscious mind, though, see what's going on there. This is something that you might be kind of actively thinking about next week. Okay. Interesting. Ace of Water. So you might be ready to like have a new romantic connection, have a new friendship. You might be thinking about like, could be manifesting, right? You might be thinking about how you're ready for this new connection and ready for all of that. Alternatively, it could be that one is actually like playing out, and we'll see in the other cards if like there's a new connection here. One might be actually playing out, so you might just be thinking about that person a lot. Let's take a look at, let's do the past. So I usually do a little speech there, but I forgot to do it. So when we think about the past, think about like it could be thematic, it could be a person, it could be an experience, but it's something from your past that's like impacting either the actual events of the week, or at the very least, it's impacting the way that you perceive things. So you have the youth card, and the youth card is definitely transitional. So like think about a transition time in your life, maybe from when you were younger, and because that is the time of your life that is probably impacting things. And the youth can sometimes be rebellious or troublesome, or they might even come off as ungrateful just because they're ready to like leave behind the past and they get out of the control of other people and also and like move on and like try to become an adult, you know? So there could be some conflict about wanting to escape or leave or grow up. And it could like represent a time of a little bit of turmoil or disconnection within the relationships that you've had in the past. So that time of your life might be impacting things next week. So maybe reflect on it a little bit. Let's take a look at blockage. So this is something that might be like kind of holding you back next week. And we are going to get a guiding energy that will help you deal with it. So I'm going to take that one because that was the card that flipped itself over, and it flipped it reversed, which is fine because this blockage position is definitely a reversal position anyway. So even if it was upright, I would interpret it as a reversal. So thought reversed. The challenge for you, you might have a lot of negative thoughts about things, which is interesting because these definitely don't seem negative, but I could see how you overall have this like balance between emotion and intellect representing your energy. So you might want to take a look at like what your thoughts actually are, especially if you are having a little bit of negativity next week, because your thoughts are manifesting into reality. So it's important to keep your thoughts in check and keep your thoughts like positive because you do not want them to get away from you. Let's take a look at a guiding energy that might help you with this. Whoop. All right. Guiding energy for you, 7 of Water. The message with the 7 of Water is go with the flow. You are not the one in control here. Things might be happening outside of your control, and you might just have to roll with it and kind of see what happens. So try to maintain your inner peace, your inner calm. You can see that her eyes are closed, and she's definitely just vibing. And maintain your calm and just kind of surrender, and it will help you with dealing with this negative thought. Maintain your peace, right? Because you can't have negative thoughts if you're at peace. I wish it were as simple as that. Let's take a look at an expressive energy. So if you kind of figure this energy out, you might even unlock a whole new path next week, or like things might really like change for you. This card has come up in every single reading. I don't know why. This 8 of Air. So the 8 of Air is understanding, especially when bad things, harmful things, we have bad memories of people hurting us or things like that, difficult situations that we've been through. Understand with this 8 of Air that our memories are not perfect. Sometimes even if we dwell on something too much, we end up accidentally rewriting the memory and remembering something entirely different from reality. So it's important to maintain that perspective, especially if you're reflecting on your past or thinking about a difficult moment from your past where there was maybe conflict or like a struggle for independence, right? Keep in mind that your memories are not perfect. And when we're really caught up in these, like, I've been hurt, I've been harmed, you can do harm to other people and not even really realize it. So that's an expressive energy for you there. Not something that you necessarily have to work out, but if you do, it will unlock a whole new direction for you. So next we're going to take a look at the energy of earlier in the week. That's that near future position. And then the final card is the longer term future position, and that would be the energy of later in the week. So it does look like a new connection could be coming into your life, especially earlier in the week, or a connection that you are already in could deepen because you have this love card there. If you're really not like looking for romance or anything like that right now, if you are single and thriving, this could also be about self-love and just getting a deeper connection with yourself, trying to love yourself more. I guess I should have said that when this came up here. It could just be about loving yourself, but it could also be about an outside connection coming in and bringing some like love and joy into your life. And maybe that's why some of these things are like getting triggered, because like there is nothing more triggering than a new connection. Sometimes it can really dig up some unhealed wounds. Let's take a look at the energy of later in the week. Counselor reversed. Interesting. So kind of going with this like watery theme that we have here. So the Counselor card, when it's reversed, definitely it can signal sometimes a lack of understanding. And like if something happens, you might not be wanting to like listen to other people's feelings or listen to their perspective. So I caution you here, if something does come up later in the week, try not to be too rigid about it. Try to be sympathetic, try to be empathetic, try to listen to the other people's feelings, and don't let your own feelings, don't let your own feelings get in the way, especially if it's getting in the way of like a resolution or forgiveness, okay? Try to be receptive. You don't have to agree with whatever the other person is saying, but you should listen. I'm going to pull a oracle card here for you that might give you a little bit of advice on how to deal with this Counselor reversed energy. Card number 13. Okay. Let's see what we got. Take a look at that image. See if it's stirring anything within you. Card number 13 is the Devas. So again, this is like about listening, right? So the connection with the Devas, see if they have anything to say to you, right? See if the other person has anything to say to you. Perhaps even if it's like, if you're intuitive or kind of like in touch with a higher power, maybe listen to your intuition as well and see what they have to say as well. So if you think something is calling you, like, or maybe you're seeing signs that you're being called, in the book here, it talks about like sunlight on the leaves, an interesting stone, or like a bird song or starlight, right? Stay with whatever has caught your attention, and if it feels right, you can ask what it wants to tell you. So you might receive some kind of a message, even if it's just a spiritual one. Okay, that's all I have for you for this week. I hope that this reading resonated. Remember, later in the week, the message is definitely listen. Definitely easier said than done, especially when there's some emotions involved. Anyways, feel free to check out all the other weekly forecast videos if you'd like. I post one every week, or at least I try to. I haven't missed a week so far, and I'm going to try to keep up that energy. I also sometimes in the middle of the week have like a more fun, like random reading that I might do. So feel free to check those out as well. Leave a like and subscribe. That really helps me out. And thank you for spending some time with me. I appreciate you trusting me with this reading. And I hope I see you again in a future video. Hey guys, welcome to reading number 4. We have the Chrysoprase, and the oracle card was shame and remorse, I believe. So let's get into it. We're going to understand all the energies at play here. Remember that this is just a week, so the cards might seem a little scary or intense, and things tend to not manifest as intensely as they seem in the cards because it's just a week. I also give a lot of interpretations of each card, and that's just because there's like multiple people here. So I want you to take the stuff that is resonating for you, and you can just forget about the rest of it. So your energy for next week, we have the Maiden. I think that this is a good energy to be in because this is an energy of independence, self-esteem, feeling confident, feeling like you're ready to express yourself, explore, and like follow your path in life. She's following her path in life and enjoying it as she goes. Let's take a look at your mind. So the stuff, when I pull cards for like your unconscious or your conscious mind, I think actually what I'm going to do is this. And this. Oh, that's 2 cards, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take both of these back. So when I talk about the mind, these are things that might not be manifesting in physical reality. So there might not be things that are happening next week, but it's certainly things that you're thinking about. So, and especially with the unconscious mind, right? That's a card where it's like, it's impacting the way that you're experiencing things and thinking about things next week. But it's something that you might want to pay a little bit more attention to because otherwise, why would it pop up? So for you in the unconscious mind, we have the Hero. First of all, I want you to stop and think for a second about what that archetype means to you. So what does a hero mean to you? That's probably the first step. But the hero is a person of noble qualities, a guardian, a protector, and a savior, very honorable, follows the rules, tries to be selfless. So these might be parts of yourself that are operating underneath the surface that are certainly impacting the way that you're behaving and the way that you're acting, but you might not even fully acknowledge these parts of yourself. So you might want to start acknowledging those parts because we're going to see how, especially if this pops up in other cards in the reading, we're going to see how those qualities might impact your experiences and the way you perceive things. On the conscious mind, this is something that you're kind of actively thinking about. We have the 10 of air. The 10s is all about completion. And the 10 of air has this energy of independence as well, which is very interesting because it's like understanding yourself as an individual and feeling liberated because you are no longer bound by other people's opinions of you. You feel like you've gotten to know yourself very well. And because of that, you feel confident in yourself and your abilities, and you're ready to kind of walk this path on your own. So that might be, these 2 energies are definitely aligned. So I can see why this might be on your mind next week. Let's take a look at the past. That just flew onto the floor, BRB. So your past that might be impacting things this week. Abundance, a time of abundance. So a time in your life in the past where you just had a lot. Could be a lot of money, could be a lot of like other resources like time and energy and emotions and things like that, but also coming from a position of gratitude as well. So if you felt like you were maybe blessed with a lot of abundance in the past, but also trying your best to feel grateful for it and connected to that gratitude, because gratitude is the energy of abundance as well. So that time in your life is impacting things this week. Maybe that's what, gave you the confidence to kind of go your own way here, or thinking about going your own way. Perhaps that time of abundance is also tied to this hero energy because, the hero is definitely a selfless energy. And sometimes when we're selfless, we attract more. So this card is actually a blockage, or like a repression. So for you with the 2 of water, the 2 of water is about connection to other people. And when it comes up as like a blockage or a reversal, it can mean that you might be like losing your sense of self or identity or independence if you enter into a romantic relationship. So are you single right now? Especially if we're dealing with this energy of like shame or remorse. Are you single right now? Are you feeling independent? Like this could speak to like a single person. But if you're not, this could just be more in general. And this blockage might be more about, okay, you have this like sense of identity you might give a lot to other people, and that can sometimes mean that you might lose your identity, especially in like a romantic relationship. We're going to see what the guiding energy is to help us deal with that, but this might come up next week where it's like, okay, am I going to sacrifice my own needs in order to like help this person, my romantic connection? That might come up here. So you also, this can also indicate that you might get caught up in a conflict or like between two people that you care about, and you might have to take sides. So it could be that as well. Let's see what the guiding energy is. I feel like that might actually point us. I think that since we have these themes of like selflessness and independence, I think it might be more so that idea of like, okay, once romance gets involved, we might struggle with that a little bit. So your guiding energy will help you in general next week, but it'll also help you in particular with this blockage. A 2 of fire though. The 2 of fire is about teamwork and working together. So to clear this blockage where you're like giving too much to this other person and losing your sense of self, you instead need to see it as a team effort where you're working together and you're equal partners. That might help you with that. Find a common goal and like work on it together. That might also be like a good bonding activity if you're in like a romantic relationship, like having a project. I don't know, what comes to mind is like building a Lego together, but I know that that's kind of silly. Having a common goal, see each other as equals and working together. One person is not more important than the other, and you're definitely not expected to like give everything you have to another person. So this is expressive energy. This is something that you don't necessarily have to have figured out, but if you do, it could unlock a whole new path for you next week, and it might kind of change the course of things. So body and mind, the balance between body and mind is kind of like understanding how you feel physically affects the way that you think, and how you think and how that affects the way that you feel physically. So like if you're feeling kind of down and sad, you might not exercise, and then that kind of might make you feel worse depending on what kind of a person you are. Or if you're feeling sick, right, that can trigger some negative thoughts and make you feel think a little bit negatively because your body is not feeling good, and so you become like kind of irritated, understandably. But it could also be about understanding the way that especially your thoughts kind of manifest into your body, right? We all feel our emotions in our body in some way. And so understanding that connection between what you're feeling physically and your emotions, it might actually help you get to know your emotions a little bit better if you examine how you're feeling physically. So that seems a little bit more random, but it might help you next week, so keep it in mind. Let's take a look at the energy of earlier in the week. Okay. This is definitely a different energy to the maiden because, well, this comes before it, but this child energy is one of definitely not feeling independent because the child depends on other people for things and for like staying alive, but it can also indicate a new beginning. So something new might be picking up next week, and you might like it could be, I don't know, it could be a romantic relationship. If you're single and you're feeling like that might be why this blockage kind of comes up. Like if a new connection is introduced earlier next week, then you don't want to get like give too much to it without really like understanding the connection in like fully. So if a new connection does come up next week, it could be a new beginning, especially like, I don't know, it's one that's definitely making you feel like a child again, feeling that excitement, that anticipation. You might start making plans for the future, making a lot of goals, right? If you are making goals and if it is a new connection, try to think about how you can work together on them, things that you can do together, and make sure you're just having fun and enjoying that energy and schedule some time to play, right? Make time for yourself. Stop and relax. Do something that you've wanted to do. Stop putting off like self-care things and try to treat your inner child a little bit. Have some fun with your inner child. Let's take a look at the energy of later in the week. Let's see what we got. This is looking pretty good so far. I would like to know what kind of led you here, especially with that shame and remorse card. This this reading has been so uplifting, in my opinion. There is really nothing like super big and scary in here, and you have a super big and scary oracle card. Okay, for your long-term future, so that in this context, right, it's just a week, right? So that would just be the energy of later in the week. So later in the week, you're going to be learning something and learning something new. And you might be also looking into your past. You can see that the direction that the person is looking in the card is pointed towards the past. So you might be doing a little bit of like reflection and understanding the best way to move forward. So you might be learning things, especially things that you're going to want to use in the future. So think about where this knowledge is going to take you. What do you actually want to do with the knowledge? What do you want to do with your life? Like especially if you're in school and you're learning a specific skill right now, what do you want to do with that skill long term? Take a look at your strengths and your weaknesses. Honestly, make sure you're looking at your goal because you want to know, is this really what you want, right? Also try to be realistic, next week. So all of those things might be happening kind of later in the week. You're gaining skills, you're gaining knowledge, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do with it? You might also be reflecting and trying to learn from things that have happened in your past as well. Okay, I hope that the reading resonated. Again, I'm kind of surprised that you had this like big, scary oracle card, and this reading was definitely the least big and scary out of them all, in my opinion. I wish you the best for next week. I'm taking another look at this here, so no, I think that, I don't know, it's all just interesting. I wish you the best for next week. Feel free to let me know in the comments what's going on or what even brought you to this reading, if it was the crystal or the card. I'm very curious. Feel free to check out the other weekly forecasts. I try to post one each week, and sometimes in the middle of the week, if my schedule is not, packed, then I sometimes put out more fun kind of like specific topic of a reading. So feel free to check those out too. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope I see you again in a future video.